Have you ever felt that life constantly tests your resilience? That day when nothing goes as planned. The person you trusted disappoints you. A project that seemed guaranteed suddenly collapses. And you, at the center of this whirlwind, need to move forward, pretending normalcy. But internally, you're devastated. The reality is harsh. No one passes unscathed through life's storms. The difference between people isn't in the challenges they face, but in how they respond to them. Some crumble. Others emerge indestructible. The positive side? Resilience isn't innate, it's developed. And Stoicism, a philosophy of remarkable practicality and effectiveness, provides concrete tools for this construction. Below, you'll discover 19 strategies to protect your mind against adversities. These aren't simple motivational phrases or superficial recommendations. They're ancestral foundations that continue transforming lives to this day. Let's begin with the first three, which constitute the foundation of your mental fortress. 1. Recognize the transience of everything, including suffering. Have you reflected on how everything is in constant transformation? The seasons, people's feelings, your own goals, your physical appearance. What seems permanent today may become just a memory tomorrow. This is one of Stoicism's main lessons: universal impermanence. Neither suffering, nor happiness, nor difficulties endure eternally. Consider a professional who just lost her job. Her world seems to crumble. She feels distressed, devalued, betrayed. However, after a few weeks, a superior position emerges. Looking back, she realizes that painful episode was merely a temporary stage. This is the fundamental understanding. Experiencing suffering is inevitable, but remaining in it is optional. By embracing impermanence, you adopt a more fluid posture. You don't despair in losses. You don't become dazzled by achievements. You learn to value the present moment for what it truly is, something valuable, precisely because of its ephemeral nature. 2. Mentally prepare for adversities and reduce their impact. This guidance might initially seem counterproductive. Why would someone deliberately visualize adverse scenarios? The answer is straightforward. Those who are prepared suffer less. Think of a firefighter. They don't panic in the face of fire because they've trained for it countless times. They've anticipated the risks. They visualize themselves in difficult situations, and this makes them calmer and more effective when chaos sets in. You can do the same on a smaller scale. Going to a job interview, imagine that delays might happen, that the reception might be cold, that perhaps you won't be accepted, and that's okay. Preparing your mind for the what-ifs isn't being negative, it's being strategic. And if nothing bad happens, great. You'll be even more grateful. This mental training reduces surprise, increases your emotional resistance, and transforms obstacles into expected challenges, never catastrophes. 3. Expect less from others and more from yourself. This might be one of the most common causes of frustration nowadays, expecting others to do what you would do. You dedicate yourself and expect recognition. You're kind and expect reciprocity. You give and expect gratitude. And when it doesn't come, the feeling is one of betrayal. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Free yourself from external expectations. They're traps disguised as hope. When you expect less from others and more from yourself, you begin to regain control. You cease being hostage to others' behavior. Imagine a young man who always helps his parents at home, hoping that one day they'll recognize and praise him. But it never happens. He becomes frustrated, feels invisible, until one day he understands that the value of what he does doesn't depend on their reaction, but on why he does it. When you act according to your values, not to please, but because you believe in something, your mind becomes fortified. Nothing shakes someone who acts with conscience, not for approval. 4. Reflect daily. Was I better than yesterday? Many people spend their days on autopilot. They wake up, rush, solve problems, sleep, and start over without ever asking themselves who they're becoming in this process. Stoicism invites you to do something simple yet powerful. Stop at the end of the day and reflect, without judgments, without guilt, just with honesty. Where did I err today? Where was I strong? What can I improve tomorrow? Imagine a woman who, every night before sleeping, calmly reviews her day. She remembers a moment when she was impatient with her child. She realizes she could have listened more. She makes a mental note. The next day she tries to act differently, small corrections every day. Nothing grandiose, just consistency. This silent habit builds something immense, self-mastery. You stop being pushed by impulses and begin to live with intention. Real progress happens in the invisible, when nobody sees, but you know. 5. Serve the greater good, even when no one's watching. We live in an era where everything is broadcast. A kind gesture needs to be shared. A donation, liked. But true strength lies in what you do when there's no audience. Stoicism teaches us that real virtue doesn't seek applause. Being useful to others is a form of inner training. Whether someone notices or not doesn't matter. Whether you get a thank you or not, it doesn't change the value of the act itself. Picture a young man on a crowded subway. He sees an elderly woman struggling with heavy bags and immediately offers help. She smiles, thanks him, and he walks away. No selfies, no comments, no need for validation. He helped because it was the right thing to do. When your actions are guided by values, not attention, your mind becomes resilient. You stop chasing approval and start building character. That's the kind of strength that lasts. 6. Practice justice in the little things. Many people think justice is only about courts or big decisions. But for Stoics, it begins in everyday moments. Being just means honoring your word even when it's inconvenient. It means treating people with respect, especially when they have nothing to offer you. It's choosing not to lie, even when the lie is small and tempting. It's refusing to cheat, even if no one will ever find out. Imagine a young man finds a wallet on a bus seat. It's empty except for some ID. He could toss it aside, but he takes the time to find the owner and return it. No one claps, no one celebrates, but something inside him grows stronger, because he knows he did the right thing. Justice isn't just about rules, it's about self-respect. When you do what's right, even in silence, your conscience becomes your shield, and a peaceful mind is a powerful one. 7. Face your fears with active courage. Courage isn't about not feeling fear, it's about acting in spite of it. One of Stoicism's deepest lessons is that fear is universal. We all fear failure, rejection, and change. But what separates the strong from the weak is what they choose to do anyway. Think of someone terrified of public speaking. One day, she agrees to give a small talk. Her hands shake, her voice cracks, but she finishes. And she walks away, changed. Not because the fear disappeared, but because she moved through it. Every time you act despite fear, you grow. Courage is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Don't wait to feel ready. Move, and the strength will meet you along the way. 8. Live with balance. Control your reactions, cravings, and words. We're surrounded by excess. Too much noise, too much opinion, too much stimulation. Stoicism teaches that power comes from moderation, the ability to pause, to restrain, to choose wisely. Picture a heated family argument. Someone says something unfair. Your instinct is to snap back. But you pause, you breathe, you decide not to escalate. That isn't weakness, it's self-mastery. Or think of someone who decides to cut back on digital distractions, emotional outbursts, impulsive purchases. At first it feels hard, but slowly they notice more clarity, more peace, more control. Moderation isn't limitation, it's freedom. When you're not a prisoner of your impulses, you become lighter, and the lighter you are, the harder it is to knock you down. 9. Learn to separate what's yours and what's not. How many times have you felt frustrated over something beyond your control? Traffic, someone's mood, a lost opportunity. Stoicism offers a powerful lens. There are things you control and things you don't. Recognizing that changes everything. Imagine someone who's laid off due to company cuts. He could spiral into bitterness, or he could focus on what's still within reach, updating his resume, learning a new skill, applying elsewhere. He stops wasting energy on what can't be changed and starts directing it where it matters. This is the dichotomy of control, a mental filter that protects your energy. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you reclaim peace. And peace is strength. 10. Embrace discomfort. On purpose, we're wired to chase comfort. The soft bed, the easy scroll, the path of least resistance. But Stoicism flips the script. It teaches you to seek discomfort intentionally, not to suffer, but to grow. Think of modern practices: waking up earlier, taking cold showers, doing that uncomfortable task you keep postponing. At first it's hard, but with each repetition, your mind toughens. You realize discomfort doesn't destroy you, it builds you. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, practiced this. He wore rough clothes, slept on the floor, ate simple meals, not because he had to, but because he chose to. He knew that if he could endure discomfort willingly, life's trials would never break him. The lesson? Don't avoid discomfort. Invite it, train in it, and watch yourself become unshakable. 11. Be self-sufficient and free from attachment. Many people live in fear. Fear of losing a relationship, their money, their reputation, their comfort. That fear grows because they've placed their happiness outside of themselves. But Stoicism teaches that real freedom comes from inner self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean living in isolation. It means learning not to depend emotionally on anything external to feel whole. Imagine someone who loses everything in a fire: their home, their possessions, their memories. Most would collapse, but some, even through tears, can say, "I still have myself. I can rebuild." Can you find peace even when the world outside is in chaos? That's the true test of strength. The less you need to be okay, the stronger and more unbreakable your mind becomes. 12. Give pain a purpose. Find a deeper meaning. Pain is inevitable, but pain without meaning becomes unbearable. When everything feels like it's falling apart, it's your why that keeps you standing. Stoicism reminds us that suffering is not punishment, it's transformation. Imagine someone caring for an ill parent for years. It's exhausting, restricting. But they understand the value of that care. They find meaning in it. That alone shifts the weight. The pain becomes part of a mission, not just a burden. When your purpose is greater than your ego, even pain finds its place. It may not disappear, but it becomes something you can carry and grow from. 13. Focus on effort, not just results. We live in a results-obsessed world. Grades, followers, salaries. But a Stoic focuses on what truly matters: honest effort. The outcome isn't always yours to control, but the dedication, that's yours entirely. Imagine an athlete who trains relentlessly, gives everything, but still loses the competition. Society says he failed. Stoicism says he won because he showed up with discipline and gave his best. That's a victory no medal can replace. Start measuring your day not by what you got, but by how deeply you tried. That's where peace lives, and peace is the shield of a strong mind. 14. Live with less and gain more freedom. Seneca believed that the richest person is the one who needs the least. And that's never been more true than today. We're surrounded by things, temptations, and distractions. But the more we have, the more anxious we become, because excess weighs you down. Think of someone who chooses to simplify. Fewer clothes, less clutter, fewer apps, fewer notifications. At first it feels like loss, but soon it turns into something else. Clarity, space, time, freedom. Living with less isn't deprivation, it's liberation. you begin to see what truly matters. You realize peace doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. 15. Be consistent, even when no one's watching. Discipline isn't about doing things when you feel like it. It's about doing them especially when you don't. Consistency, quiet, invisible, is what builds character. A Stoic doesn't need praise, doesn't need applause. He acts because he knows who he is. Imagine someone who commits to reading 10 pages a day. No posts, no selfies, no performance, just steady effort. Day after day, months pass, and something changes. Not suddenly, not loudly, but profoundly. The strongest kind of confidence is the one you build when no one else is looking. 16. Cultivate inner silence. Not everything deserves a reaction. We live in a noisy world. Everyone has something to say. Everyone wants to respond, to argue, to prove their point. But the Stoic learns to protect their peace with silence. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not everything deserves your energy. Picture someone scrolling through social media and finding a harsh, unfair comment. The impulse is to fight back, but instead, they pause, they breathe, and they move on. Not because they're weak, but because they're in control. They won't hand over their peace to a stranger online. Inner silence isn't passivity, it's power. And once you master it, nothing outside can shake your center. 17. Practice gratitude, especially on the hard days. It's easy to feel grateful when everything's going well. The real challenge is finding something to appreciate in the middle of pain. But that's where the secret of an unshakable mind lies. The ability to see value even in the chaos. Imagine someone going through a deep loss, a loved one, a dream, a future they'd planned. Instead of shutting down, they choose to be thankful. Not for what they lost, but for what they lived. For what they learned. For what still remains. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, it balances it. It reminds you that even in the ruins, something inside you still beats with life. And sometimes, that's enough to keep going. 18. Surround yourself with those who strengthen you, and walk away from what drains you. Inner strength doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by your environment, by the people you allow into your mind. Stoics understand that your surroundings influence your thoughts, so they choose carefully. Picture someone trying to change their life, but stuck in a circle of cynics, mockers, and energy drainers. Slowly, their motivation fades. But when they start to distance themselves and connect with others who share their purpose, something shifts. The journey is still hard, but now there's energy, there's support. To build a resilient mind, you must also protect your energy. Keep close those who lift you up, and learn to release whatever drags you down. 19. Remember, everything starts within the outer world is a mirror of what's happening inside you. It might sound like a cliché, but it's deeply true. Stoicism is, above all, an inner practice. It's not about controlling the world. It's about transforming your relationship with it. Imagine someone living in the same chaos as everyone else. Bills, stress, uncertainty. But this person moves with calm, speaks with clarity, sleeps with peace. Why? Because they've strengthened their inner world. And that's when everything changes. Not because life became easier, but because their mind became stronger than anything life could throw at them. Now that you've discovered these 19 principles for building an unshakable mind, ask yourself, which of these practices do you need to start today? Share your answer in the comments. Your reflection might inspire someone else. If this message resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to strengthen their mind. Let's spread wisdom, balance, and inner strength. Because the revolution starts in silence, and it starts within you.